And we're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Lulu Freistadt. I'm the Executive Director of Smart Elections, and I have Benny Smith with me.
Hello, everybody. I'm Benny Smith, and I'm one of the technical advisors for Smart Elections. And this is our Smart Election Protection Series. And this is our 6th episode, and we like to welcome you guys.
So thank you so much for being here. We have a really, I'm going to say, I think we have a pretty amazing show. I think we have some stuff that most people have never seen before. I know we have one tonight. We have a demonstration of how your vote can be turned into a fraction, how it can be counted as a fraction. And we've never shown this demonstration before. We've made it really, really clear. I think it's pretty incredible. And Benny is the one who did the proof of concept work on that. He figured out how that software was actually running inside many of the voting systems that we have today. So he's going to come back with us in the back half and
answer questions.
Yeah, we got a question already.
Whoa.
Well, do we get questions in the comments?
I think it says the security briefing.
Yeah, it was at the Senate briefing. We went to the Senate November 21st, 2019, and we did a demonstration for Senate staff. We wanted them to understand how this worked, but we've actually made a video that actually makes it clearer because you can see the demonstration and you can see Benny's desktop at the same time. So it's really clear what's going on. So we're going to show that, like I said, in the back half, and we have a lot of stuff to get to first. So thanks so much for joining us and saying hello, Benny. We'll see you shortly.
All right.
Okay, so I am looking at the YouTube broadcast. If somebody has comments on the Facebook broadcast, then maybe someone would paste them over into the YouTube broadcast. This is the first time that we've tried to live stream on Facebook and on YouTube, so we'll see how it goes. And also, often we have breakout sessions after the live stream, but we're not doing breakout sessions tonight because not that many people signed up for them, and I think it's kind of a lot maybe for people to have the hour of the broadcast and then do the breakout sessions also. So we decided to split it up just to see how it goes. We're just trying stuff out. So this week we're going to do a focus on state work on Thursday at 7 p.m. And if you signed up, then you got that information on where to sign up for the breakout groups. They're going to be on Zoom. So I want to get started right away. Tonight's show is about voting machine vendors and the real conflicts of interest that have been demonstrated that voting machine vendors have with good security and with counting the votes accurately. And what has been shown multiple times is that the vendors seem to be mostly interested in profit and making their industry as lucrative as possible. And I can understand that to a certain extent. It's actually a pretty difficult industry. There are only a few big players in it. There's two main vendors. They're ES&S and Dominion. And they do have a heavy lift in order to make and sell these voting machines. They have to get the voting machines certified by the Election Assistance Commission. Even though the certification is voluntary, most states won't buy systems unless they have some certification. And that is an expensive and difficult process in some ways. And so it is hard for them to make a profit. I understand that. But unfortunately, that seems to be it seems to be the dominant priority for many of the vendors. And it has definitely impacted their ability, or seems to impact their ability, to create secure voting machines. So the first thing that we're going to do tonight is we're going to watch a video. And this is reporting that Dan Rather did in 2007 about one of the older voting machine companies that's no longer in business called Sequoia. And many people do not realize this, but from the very first time that the voting machines were introduced around 2002, when there was a real big push to get electronic voting machines across the country, there were problems with the voting machines, and these problems were reported. They haven't been addressed, but they have been being reported on for over a decade. So it's something that we really need to think about is why, when these problems have been reported, are they not being addressed and not being fixed? So the first thing that I want you to see is this video that Dan Rather this investigation that Dan Rather did. And the video is about 7 minutes long, but I definitely think it's worth watching. It's really, really fascinating. Jed, are we ready to go with that? Yeah, we are. Okay. So this is Dan Rather reporting on voting machines. This is from 2007.
Voting experts about the 2000 election in Florida were the many tens of thousands of ballots that had overvoted.
We're having a little problem with that streaming. I have a different version that I'm going to show, actually. I think this is the wrong version. So I'm going to, can you stop that screen share, Jed? And we're going to try again.
You haven't grabbed your free 72-hour survival food kit yet? You need to.
So we're going to try that again. I have a different version of that that I think is going to play better. So the investigation is actually talking about what happened in 2000. In the 2000 election, there was a lot of controversy about the Florida election, but Dan Rather actually found out about it around 2007 and reported on it. Apparently we have no sound again. Oh dear, we keep having this problem. I'm so sorry. Hang on. Okay, I'm so sorry. We keep having technical difficulties, but please bear with us and we'll get it right this time. Let's try it again. So here we go.
Tonight, the trouble with touchscreens.
Even if it's just off a quarter of an inch, you can throw a vote upper or lower to the other candidate, and you have the wrong selection, and you really don't realize it.
The story of companies that built thousands of new age voting machines for elections all across America with touchscreens that were unreliable. The 2000 election in Florida, where many tens of thousands of ballots that had overvotes or undervotes for president, where voters appeared to have voted for more than one presidential candidate or none at all. Over 50,000 Sequoia punch cards statewide were discarded as invalid because voters appeared to have overvoted. In fact, on fully 17,000 of the Sequoia cards, voters seemed to have voted for 3 or more presidential candidates. Meanwhile, in Palm Beach County alone, over 10,000 voters had not voted for president at all. Experts scrambled for possible explanations. Confused voters, confusing ballot layout, like the infamous butterfly ballot. No one was looking at the punch cards themselves. We recently met up with a group of former Sequoia employees who actually made the punch card ballots, who feel they have the real answer as to what happened in Florida 2000 and why.
After 1999, it was all over. It was like we were all put on the shelf.
And your opinion didn't matter after that.
Exactly.
Now, what changed in 1999?
The paper changed. They
Are we still not getting sound? I'm so sorry. I feel like an idiot. I thought I shared it with the sound this time. It had sound? Okay, I kept getting notices that there were no sound. Sound is there a little low, but good. Keep playing. Okay. All right, folks, here we go again.
Experts scrambled for possible explanations. Confused voters, confusing ballot layout, like the infamous butterfly ballot. But no one was looking at the punch cards themselves. We recently met up with a group of former Sequoia employees who actually made the punch card ballots, who feel they have the real answer as to what happened in Florida 2000 and why.
After 1999, it was all over. It was like we were all put on the shelf.
And your opinion didn't matter after that.
Exactly.
Now, what changed in 1999?
The paper changed. They decided that they wanted to go with a certain brand. And I think that everybody's opinion was this 2000 election was going to be our demise because of the poor quality that we put out the door.
For decades, Sequoia had ordered its punch card ballot paper from James River or International Paper, the only mills that had traditionally offered voting punch card stock. In 2000, the company switched to a new mill, Boise Cascade, which had virtually no experience making tab card stock. Workers say they were told to stop testing paper samples. Traditional quality control standards were relaxed.
There were a lot of things that we were told to let go. And there was card bins I wouldn't sign off. I refused to sign them. They'd sit there overnight. They would say, "You going to sign them?" I go, "No." Come in the following morning, all the bins had been signed off and moved to the front.
Which means they're being made into ballots.
Right. Which means someone else signed them off or said, "Let them go."
Mr. Washington, you got a surprising order from your supervisor when you ran ballots for Palm Beach?
We were told to run those cards short because they would grow by the time they got in Florida in the humidity.
Running short didn't mean the cards were actually shorter. It simply means lowering on the face of the ballot the position of the chads.
So the orders were for the ballots that go into Palm Beach, don't make them meet the normal specifications.
Right, because they would grow. And if we met the normal specifications, they would grow outside the specifications because of the humidity.
Was this unusual?
Yep.
Were you surprised by it?
Oh, yeah. I questioned it, and I even had the plant manager signed it because I was having arguments with quality control about the size. I said, well, the only way I'm going to run it if Bryant comes out here and signs it. He came out, he signed the okay card to run them.
According to these workers, the combination of bad paper and incorrect ballot specifications for Palm Beach was a recipe for election day trouble. That is, a high percentage of chads that might be misaligned, wouldn't punch correctly, chads that could hang, fall out, or get stuck. Any of these events could cause a ballot to be discounted.
When you got to the plant in the days after the election, what was the scene there?
It was chaotic. They were moving stuff, hiding stuff.
They were hiding stuff?
Yeah, because the news people wanted to come in and talk to people, and they wanted to tour the plant. We were told to get rid of everything. Anything that had Florida on it had to disappear.
And did it disappear?
Yep. Nothing with any kind of Boise Cascade labels supposed to be left around.
And that word came from whom?
Brian Lerman,
Who was?
the plant manager.
What do you think happened?
My own personal opinion was the touchscreen voting systems wasn't getting off the ground like they would hope, and because they weren't having any problems with paper ballots. So I feel like they deliberately did all this to have problems with the paper ballots, so the electronic voting systems would get off the ground, in which it did in a big way.
What's more important to you, knowing that your vote is recorded as you cast it, or the profits of voting machine manufacturers? It's an obvious question, but when citizens try to get to the bottom of how these machines, bought with your taxpayer money, either work or don't work, manufacturers continually hide behind the wall of, quote, trade secrets. Are these machines that determine who decides our laws, who runs our states, and who sits in the White House with the power to direct our armed forces no different from, say, the formula for Coca-Cola or McDonald's special sauce? Well, we don't think so. And that's why we tried to get answers tonight and raised questions about accountability. But unlike Congress or prosecutors, we aren't armed with subpoena power. We can't force companies to prove that they take concerns about their machines and their ballots seriously. Their message is trust us. But the information we have been able to obtain suggests that trust has not been earned, and that voting machines warrant, at the very least, much closer scrutiny than they have received so far. Because, as we heard Florida's Governor Christ ask, what could be more important in democracy than making sure that the right to vote is one that we can have confidence in? For ACNet, Dan Rather reporting. Good night.
This is a switch bike.
So that is pretty interesting reporting from somebody who has a lot of weight, Dan Rather, even though he wasn't still at CBS. I think he's still a very respected investigative journalist. And for a report like that to basically not create a huge shakeout, I think is remarkable. And we have to think about the fact that that was 2007. So that was over 10 years ago. And what we have now is really a very similar situation. We still have voting machine vendors who are creating ballots that have many similar problems. One of the things that was interesting that he talked about in that report was that when the punch cards went wrong, there were a lot of overvotes and undervotes. And that was something that we found again in 2018 in Georgia. The Coalition for Good Governance found a tremendous number of undervotes in predominantly African-American precincts. And so the voting systems that we have are, we are being presented with evidence on a regular basis. They are not counting the votes accurately. At our very first forum, we had one of the members of Coalition for Good Governance come on and talk to us about the new scanners that they just purchased in Georgia and how they were not recording thousands and thousands of votes because the scanners had been set incorrectly. So we have to really think about what's going on and why is it that when this information is presented to the public and it's presented in a very concrete way. These aren't just, conspiracies. These are reputable investigative journalists presenting information year after year. Why isn't it changing? And it was interesting also that Dan Rather mentioned Congress and having subpoena power, because we have a senator, actually, Ron Wyden from Oregon, who is extremely concerned about these issues and has actually subpoenaed information from the voting machine vendors. And they have actually just dodged his questions for the most part and refused to answer. So why is it that these voting machine vendors seem to be able to do whatever they want? They don't seem to be regulated. They don't seem to be able to have to answer to Congress. They don't seem to be able to have to answer to investigative reports that come out about them. And there's a very insidious relationship that has developed. And this is a relationship between election officials and between election officials and elected officials and vendors. And you have to really think about this triangle. So what you have are vendors who make voting machines. Now, the people who get elected, they get elected on those voting machines. And so they may not want to offend the people who make the voting machines, because the people who make the voting machines in a way control whether or not they get elected. So there's a certain amount of a power balance there, and maybe it's out of balance because these voting machine vendors are not being regulated by the people who are elected on the systems. There's almost no regulation on the voting machines. Right now we have what's called voluntary voting system guidelines, and the key word in that phrase is voluntary. And then the other relationship that we really have to take a close look at is the relationship between vendors and election officials. And again, there's definitely some sort of imbalance in that relationship. Often vendors are making contributions to political parties, or they are wining and dining election officials. There was a committee of, was called an advisory committee that had many of the largest, very large counties, election officials on it, including New York City, and that's Michael Ryan, who's the head of the New York City Board of Elections. And these election officials were wined and dined by ES&S and taken around the country and given tickets to shows. And then those election officials will then order the machines that the vendors have available. And often they will order the most expensive machines. So in many ways, people understand that things like our healthcare industry are broken because it's focused on profits instead of healthcare. But many people don't understand that our election system basically has the same dynamic, that many decisions that really should be being made on the basis of security or on the basis of what is the best for the county or what's the best for the voter, those decisions are being made by on the basis of profit often. And the other thing that I really want to point out is that this has been going on for quite a while. So for example, I'm going to show you just some reporting. So this is an article that a really great journalist, Kim Zeder, wrote. And this is about Diebold election systems. Diebold was one of the earliest election vendors, and they actually sold the first statewide electronic voting system to Georgia in 2002, and they had a lot of trouble there. And if you read this article, the title is "Did E-Vote Firm Patch Elections?" And if you go through it, it says things like, Diebold Systems has had a tumultuous year, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. And I'm just looking, to see that you can see my screen there. And if you go on, you'll see that the voting machine maker faced public embarrassment when voting activists revealed that the company's insecure FTP server was making its software source code available for everyone to see. That means that the voting machine's software was basically online. And then research and auditors who examined code for the company's touchscreen voting system released 2 separate reports stating that the software was full of serious security flaws. And my favorite thing to Google in this article is if you Google the word junk shit, you will see that junk shit is what we were calling it at the time, said Beller. This was an actual employee of Diebold the Diebold employees were calling the Diebold voting machines junk shit. Everyone in the warehouse was familiar with the term, to say the least. And then the other thing that I really want you to note about this article is the date. So go ahead and look at the date on this article. It's 2003. Kim Zeter has been reporting on these type of problems since 2003, October 2003. And she is still reporting on these problems. This past year, you know, recently, last year or two, she did this article called "The Myth of the Hacker-Proof Voting System." And that is an article at the New York Times. And in that article, she talked about how a different vendor, before we were talking about Diebold, this vendor, ES&S, was putting modems in their voting machines and lying about it. So that first, you know, Kim had done an article and she had talked, she had asked them, did they have modems in their voting machines? And they said, no, they didn't. And then after that, they were asked by Congress if they had modems in their voting machines, and they said, oh, maybe a few. And then they were pushed to really bring that information forward by Congress, by Ron Wyden, and then they admitted that they had hundreds of modems in the voting machine. So here we have a history of, you know, decades of deception by these voting machine vendors. And just recently, Kim's done a couple more articles. She's done research showing that the voting systems are in fact connected to the internet. That was research by Kevin Skoglund that she reported on, that even though the voting machine vendors said they weren't connected to the internet, their voting machines were connected to the internet. And then she also recently did another article talking about the fact that the modems that are in the machine are not certified. And ES&S is claiming that the systems with the modems are certified, but in fact, they're lying about it. They were putting out brochures and publicity about their voting machines saying that the system with the modem was certified by the Election Assistance Commission, when in fact the Election Assistance Commission had not certified the system with the modem. So again, just over and over again, we have these systems that are, we have these voting machine vendors who are engaging in deception with the public. And I think one thing that people also don't realize is that some of these voting machine vendors actually have a criminal record. So Diebold, which is the system that we were talking about, that Zeter covered, where the employees were saying that the systems were junk shit, Diebold actually hired a programmer who had 23 felony convictions. And he was one of the people who originally did programming for Diebold, for the machines. And we're going to talk about that later. We're going to talk about the Diebold systems that got designed and how that programming got into other machines. And when we do that, I'll show you those court documents that show how many felony convictions he had. So I got a question there. Why was Kim Zeter silenced? She hasn't been silenced. She is reporting and reporting and reporting. She is, her latest articles, the ones about the ES&S machines not being certified by the EAC was on Politico. And what my point is that even though these investigations are going forward, nothing is happening. The voting machine vendors are not being prosecuted. No one is taking them to task. Congress is not, Congress actually did have some hearings this year and called the voting machine vendors in, but they were treated really with kind of kid gloves, and nothing came of it. There is no follow-up. They are not being prosecuted when they are behaving criminally, when they are lying to the public, when they are putting out deceptive advertising, and most importantly, whether or not they're prosecuted or not, they are not being held accountable. The systems that they put out that are not secure are not being changed. They are being allowed to sell those systems over and over and over again at very high prices. So for example, an incredibly insecure system was recently sold to Georgia for over $100 million. And that's taxpayer money that's going for that system. So the point that I'm making is that even though the reporting is happening, even though Congress is sometimes asking questions, We are not getting the results that we need. And that is why it is so important for all of you to be involved. That is why I'm showing you all of these videos week after week and kind of laying out these details for you, is so that you understand that nobody is going to do this for you. This is us. This is us, the public. It is our job now to go after these voting machine vendors and to contact our elected officials and our election officials and say, we demand to have a voting system that is secure, accurate, accessible, transparent, publicly verifiable, and inclusive. We have that right. We deserve that. And how is that going to happen? That is why we are having these calls every 2 weeks, why we are asking you to come back every 2 weeks, because it is not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen overnight. It is something that is going to require organization and coordination and the execution of a mass movement. That is why our tagline at Smart Elections is elevating election reform to an urgent national priority, because that is what it needs to be, because this has been going on for 10 years, 15 years, 17 years, and nothing is being done. We are still with these same junk shit voting machines. Here it is 2020, and we're going to be voting on them again. So in the next 2 months, we are going to teach you how to protect ourselves as best we can. We are trying to encourage election officials to do audits, and we are trying to teach the public how to do photographs of poll tapes and ask for digital ballot images and do public records requests of election data. We are going to teach you all of those things, but mostly we are asking you to please come back every 2 weeks, stay with us, come to the breakout groups, or we're having one on Thursday, the state working groups, and learn how to get involved and set some time aside. This has to be a little bit of your time each week. So we really need you here with us doing this work. It is so important, and no one is going to do it if you don't do it. It is your job. It is my job, and now I am making it your job. I get up every morning and go, oh my God, this is my job. How did this get to be my job? Isn't this the government's job? But it's not. It's not. It's our job. Okay, so after we get that serious talk, we get to have a little bit of fun now. So I'm really excited that we have some of the Gangsta Grass group with us. I'm so psyched. I love this band, and I've known them for kind of a long time, Wrench especially. So I'm going to introduce Wrench now, and he's going to introduce other members of his band that are here. We're so psyched to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. This is Wrench, and I see we got here Brian Farrow, who's our fiddle player.
How you doing, y'all?
Yeah.
And, thank you so much.
Sure. If you see our son in the backstage area, he's here too.
I thought he was. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to get down there. Okay, and I see Sleeves too.
All right.
Oh my God, I'm so psyched.
Okay, here we are. Gangsta Grass is in the house. All right, so this is our son, the voice of reason. He's one of our MCs. And Sleeves, she's our general badass logistics ninja. So we are in the building, and we are down with this this whole program, trying to get this voting straightened out. Although I think one thing I've learned tonight is I got to get into the electronic voting machine game, man. So I can make some. I gotta get into that game so I can make some junk shit and sell it for $100 million. That's good.
That's it. Get the smell.
Hey,
that's right.
On the streets, looking on the streets, Gangsta Grass voting machines 2020.
There's nothing like being in an industry where you're not held accountable for making a terrible product,
right?
So.
And where
you control the people who are supposed to be holding you accountable. It's not just that they're not accountable. Yeah. They control whether or not those people get elected in a lot of ways. So a little bit of a problem there.
Cool, that is something.
It's real.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get around that one. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Gangsta Grass and just how you guys, I know you guys have something coming up for the vote. I think it's called G the Vote, and I might even have a banner for G the Vote. And tell us a little bit about that, because I know you guys are very conscious. It's good music, but I know it's conscious music.
Yeah. Well, we're Gangsta Grass. We are running all over all kinds of American genre boundaries and not paying attention to any of those boundaries. So we got fiddle, we got banjo, we got hip hop MCs, and we got block rock and beats and harmony singing, all kinds of stuff going on. You're gonna hear that. We're gonna play a video in a minute. But we're also trying to mobilize people to make sure everybody gets registered and everybody gets voting. So we've partnered with that with Oxfam, who has a program that you can sign up for a text program. And we're one of the teams on that. So if you text G the vote to 97779, then you will be on our team to get texts that are helping you with information about registering and information about voting in your area, as well as a way that you can send the information to 3 friends to get them signed up as well.
Hey, Wrench, I think we're breaking up because I think we have so many people on the with the bandwidth. So I'm actually going to bump some people off just for a minute, just so you can get that information on. But thank you guys so much for coming out. It's so awesome. And I'm really excited to hear the song. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. So can you give me that number again about that we're supposed to text, and I'll put it up on the screen. What is it?
Yep. 97779, 97779. And you text G the vote.
97779.
Yep. You text G the vote to that number, and you will be you'll be on the Gangstergrass voting system with Oxfam to get notifications and information about registration and voting in your area, as well as a program for sending in information for 3 friends that helps spread it and keep it growing exponentially. They found that when people are brought into programs like this that give them reminders about registration and voting from people that they know and trust, it becomes 3 times more likely that they will actually get out and vote.
You're breaking up a lot. So I just want to, I tried to do the banner and it didn't work, but I put it to the comments now. It's 97779, right?
Yep. Yeah,
okay,
I see the banner.
That's
it's on there. Yeah. Yep. 97779 for the Gangstergrass program. G the vote.
Hey, sorry, left you to hold down the show for a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm just having some bandwidth problems. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so we're going to go to the video now, and that's our texting number. And just tell us what we're supposed to do with the 97779. What happens?
You text G the vote to that number, and that will get you signed up to be part of the team of doing registration reminders and voting reminders and getting your friends signed up. Because
so you're going to text G the vote to 97779, and that's going to help you get people registered to vote and get registered to vote if you're not, and kind of get you looped in. So that's the ticket. And I'm so psyched to hear the song now. Let me just see with our tech people. Are we ready to go with that song? Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. We're going to hear the latest release, which is called Ride With Us. Is that, and it's on their album, which is
Ride With
No
You.
Time.
Yeah.
Ride With You?
Yep.
Ride With You, and it's on No Time for Enemies. Okay, let's kick it.
Yeah. Check it out.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, the future is a bumpy ride. I wanna ride. We'll be finding monsters till we die. I wanna ride. Just as long as you're by my side. I wanna ride. I got a freak flag and I'm gonna let it fly.
Come on.
I wanna ride with you.
Yeah. Come on.
I wanna ride with you.
Come on, let's ride. I know I'm ready for the leap. Started out with a little, barely had a heat, but what we had kept a belly full of eats. Just a short flip away from being belly on the streets. Hard scramble over grits, jelly on the wheat. Unabashed with a drive to keep our family on our feet. Hard work raising youngins in the belly of the beast. To be sitting around the table getting ready for the feast. It wasn't easy and it wasn't alone, but we still got a long road to hoe on the road. So what gets sold gets the water to grow, and the sunlight to get the harvest ready to show. So it goes, that though whatever served on the menu could react with situations that you've been through. We can still get through like we got through. We are not through, just know we got you.
The future is a bumpy ride. I wanna ride. We'll be finding monsters till we die. I wanna ride. Just as long as you're by my side. I got a freak flag and I'm gonna with you.
That's right. The creatures might be coming to get ya, but I'm here to slay monsters like Geralt the Witcher. And I'm here with ya, that's all she wrote. Tight like a fat couple caught up in coach for my bros and my blokes. Mamacitas y amigas, yes, all of my folks. If the whole world starts to go up in smoke, we're riding together and we're going for broke. But I'm trying to make sure that don't happen. Climb on this boat with me, ride with your captain. Maintain yourself in an orderly fashion. Calm and collected, but I still need your passion. This is a call to action, packed with exact facts. Building more bridges than you will with a hashtag. Big dog barking, send the fat cats running. Revolution coming now, ain't that something?
Future is a bumpy ride. Come on. I wanna ride with you. Fighting monsters till we die. Come on. I wanna ride just as long as you're by my side. I wanna ride with you. Oh, I got a free flag, and I'm gonna let it fly. High, high. Come on. I wanna ride with you. Come on. I wanna ride with you. I wanna ride with you.
Come on.
I wanna ride with you.
There it is.
Thank
Ride
you
with
so
you.
much for being here. I have to
Yeah.
really encourage people. I think we had some bandwidth issues there, but you guys should go over to the Gangsta Grass YouTube channel and check out all their videos. They're awesome. I really love Freedom. I have to say Freedom's
Oh, yeah.
like in my head. Harmonies on that are really great. So
Yeah, go check it out.
definitely, you guys, gangstagrass.com. And you can get their new, the whole album, you can get it on vinyl or on CD, right?
Yeah, that's
And
right. That's right.
You can follow them on Twitter at Gangstagrass. All right, and stay tight, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Lulu, for.
Okay, so moving on here, I do want to do a couple of station identification breaks. So stuff that we need for you to know, like our website is smartelections.us, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Lulu Freistat. And I just really think we're having some bandwidth issues. So I'm going to ask the folks who are not on the stream to go ahead and bump off, because I think that our bandwidth is just killing us. And if you want to follow Smart Elections on Twitter, we have a Twitter account. It is smart_elections. And we would love it if you would like us on Facebook and check out our page. We try to put a lot of stuff up there. And there's a couple things that I'm really asking people to do right now. If you could please become a tax deductible monthly subscriber, we would just love that. And we so need your support. We have a lot of things that we need to do. As you can see, like we're struggling with the tech a little bit. If we could hire a tech person, that would probably help us out. Or we actually have a lot of ways that we want to scale up and reach out to more volunteers. So we are asking for people to make a $5 a month donation. $5, that's like, I don't know, one piece, like one small medium-sized cappuccino maybe. And you can make that donation at smartelections.us, our website, /donate. And if you want to email us, you can do it at contact@smartelections.us. And the other thing that I really want to encourage people to do is if you can start to be our PR machine. We don't have a PR person. We don't have the money to hire somebody to do PR. And if you did more PR, I could do less PR, and I could do more research for you, and I could get more of the kind of investigative videos that you want to see from me, because it is actually a much better use of my time to be doing that sort of work. I have a bunch of videos from DEF CON, actually, from not this year, but last year, that are amazing. I have video of people actually hacking an email ballot in transit that I have wanted to get out to the public, things like that. So if you would promote the forum, then I can do that sort of work. So I'm asking each of you, if you care about this work and if you want for this to happen, then right now, please go to the smartelections.us website and sign up for the forum that's in 2 weeks. So that's on September 22nd at 7 p.m. And that one is going to be about audits. So important that we understand how audits work. Audits are the single most powerful way of checking whether or not the voting machines are accurate. We have to do audits. And I wish that it was a fun word. I wish that audits was like the word butterfly, and that we all like loved butterflies, and we would all like say, oh, it's a butterfly, and we would get really excited about it, but it's an audit. So let's just try to feel positive about audits. And we were going to spend some time talking about them, and that's in 2 weeks. So please send that invitation to all of your friends, to your networks, to your list, to your groups, and get them signed up. I'd really love to see 300 people here in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks after that, I'd like to see 500 people here. And even after the election, I would like to see 500 people here every other week, because that is what it is going to take for us to get this done. So please, please sign up and tell your friends. And we have on Thursday at our website, smartelections.us, when you click on that mobilize, we'll get a sign up there for Thursday's breakout group also. So the next thing that we're going to do, I want to just make sure and just say something. I talked a lot about a couple companies in the beginning. We talked about Sequoia. That was the company that Dan Rather did investigations on, and ES&S was the company that Kim Zeter had done a lot of investigations on. I don't want you to think that some of the other companies are getting a free pass, because they're not. Like one of the other really big company, Dominion, has also had a lot of really shaky statements that they've made in public. So one of the videos that I showed at, I believe, our very first forum was a video of the Dominion salesman in Westchester County, New York. And I don't want to take the time to show that again, but you can go back. It's actually on the front page of our website, and you can watch the video, and you will see you will see the Dominion salesman lying to election officials. And then we intercut that with our interview of Andrew Appel, and every time the Dominion salesman say, like, well, this system is actually more secure. And then Professor Appel would come on and say, actually, it's not. And then the salesman would say, this system is less expensive. And then Andrew Appel would come on and say, actually, it's not. And then the salesman would come on and say to the election officials, oh, the system is faster. And Professor Appel would say, actually, it's not, and it's going to cost lines. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not just ES&S, it's not just Dominion. Most of the voting machine vendors have a history of deceptive and sometimes criminal behavior, and we need to start holding them accountable. So I don't want to give anybody a free pass there. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to paint them with a broad brush. There are vendors that have done better. I think that Hart InterCivic is one that has done better, and Clear Ballot possibly has done better. But certainly our two main vendors, Dominion and ES&S, have had a lot of issues with being deceptive and with potentially criminal behavior. So I want to get Benny on here now, and we let it go a little bit late, but the first thing I want to do is I want to play you this video of, we went to the Senate, and Benny did this demonstration of fraction voting, and I think it's really, really important for you to see this. This is the first time. Jed, I'm going to go ahead and do this because I think we may be having bandwidth with your system. So I'm going to play it off of mine and see if we can get it a little bit better this time. And I promise I'm going to give you guys audio. I'm really trying to pay attention to that. So we're going to share this screen and definitely do that. And here we go. So we went to the Senate, and this is what happened.
Race. It's, if you guys look at the total, Bill Haslam has 38,000. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, can you blow it up?
I'll zoom in. He has 38,212 votes, and this is the representation of the real totals. This is actually what actually happened in Shelby County. Well, what was reported in Shelby County. So
do a screenshot so we can compare.
Yeah, I'll do a
later.
screenshot of it.
You can basically change the entire roster if you want, right?
Yeah, I can change everywhere where there's more than one candidate, for sure.
So should we pick our person now? Is it
we're gonna
time?
pick our person.
Okay, so we need a volunteer from the audience who would like to be the person who gets to pick who's going to be governor.
Does anybody want to be dirty?
I see somebody back
Okay.
there. Raise your hand. You
We
want to
have
come
a
up?
criminal in the midst.
Okay, come on up.
We're kindred spirits today. Yeah, we're all dirty. Okay.
Just take a look at
Well,
the screen.
take a look.
And you can use my mic here.
So these are the totals. This is basically what people in Shelby County see and anybody across that universe. So we're gonna work for the governor's race. Who would you like the winner to be?
Well, I really think the name Basil is interesting, so we're going to go with Basil.
Oh, he's only got 219 votes. You think we can pull that off? Basil is like a seasoning or something. Like we will season his votes to make him the winner. Okay. So I'm gonna open fraction magic. It is largely unnoticeable. It is running. It's in the top right corner, and you can't see it. I mean, you can try to see if you see it. So the way I designed the program is to kind of hide in plain sight. So just watch my cursor, though. If you follow my cursor, you see it change? Can you see it went from a, you see it went from all right, so I'm gonna type this code in that brings up, now everything you're gonna see, they're gonna be in black boxes. I did this in collaboration with blackboxvoting.org, so I made everything in black boxes so you know what is not in the application and what is the application that I designed. So I'll open it up. And it's basically reading the voting database to tell me everybody's running. So these are the options. Again, this is what Appel was explaining, that once a person get in, they can just hijack the system and take over. So I think you said Basil. Okay, so let's take, we'll make Joe Kirkpatrick come in second place. And you said Basil is gonna be the winner. So Joe Kirkpatrick is, he's got a low vote total too. So he's gonna have a good night too. So basically these are the allocation rules that I preloaded these allocation rules. So each precinct, each polling location, he is going to win 37% of the candidates in the race. So that's enough to declare him the winner. And Joe Kirkpatrick is gonna get 46% of everything that remains. And this one has some complexity in it where you can see it, where I'm changing the allocation rules, because it's got to mimic realistic results, right? And it's pretty realistic. So we're going to come out of this, and I'll open the program again because now I'm going to run it, and I'm going to inject those allocation rules into 80,000 votes, 77,000 votes. All right. So I'll run it again. This time I'm going to type a different code. And if you guys want to look at this thumb drive, it's going to hum. I always use the thumb drive because everybody says, well, it's a thumb drive. We checked it. No, that sounds good, but everybody's got to use some type of media to do something. So this thing is going to hum for about maybe 10 seconds, but it's going to go through the whole thing like a peanut butter sandwich. So I'm going to type the code in. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8. So 8 seconds didn't make me look bad, and this is an ethical swap. So I know y'all, I'm not a thief. I'm representing one, but I'm not a thief. All right, so everything is still up. So now we got to see what the new totals are, right? So let's close this report, but not close the application. So let's just preview the next batch of results. All right, so we now have a new winner. And our winner is going to be Basil.
Crazy, right? Whoops. Okay, we don't need that audio. Okay. I think that is the clearest that I've ever seen us do the demo, because then this time you could see the screen and you could see, the candidates. And we saw Basil's votes go from 219 to I think 28,000, right, Benny?
Yeah, he had a good night.
It did. So we just have like a couple minutes, and we can follow this up another time. But I just want to, and we have one more thing to get on after this. But I want to just say if people have questions for you in the comments. So basically, what we were demonstrating there is from a program that was in the system. In Benny's an election commissioner in Shelby County, Tennessee, and the system there is called the AccuVote TSX. I think you guys have the X, and it was originally Diebold, right? Yeah, that's a Diebold system. So that system, it turned out Benny was able to do what's called a proof of concept, and he got access to the software, and he kind of looked back into the software, and he figured out that the framework for that program was there in the system. The system was designed to use fractions for voting. He didn't make that up. That system was there, and he found it. It's sort of like Hogwarts, like, you know, Harry Potter. There's like a door, a magic door that you can't normally see. And then Benny found the outline of the door, and then he walked through it into this whole other world where your vote is only a third instead of a full vote, and someone else's vote is 1 2/3. And we all could see how if your vote was, you know, a fraction, then no matter how many people you got to the polls, you still might not have enough votes. And then in this case, you also did in this particular demonstration, you just changed the votes at the tabulator, right, Benny?
Correct. I do it at the central tabulator.
Okay, so I'm just trying to check the comments and see if anybody has any specific questions for you. So I have one from Victoria Olson, and she says, what would the person's position be that could get access to make those changes in fraction magic, Benny?
Yeah, so that typically is going to be a middleman, a private contractor, or an election official. Anyone who has access, for the example that I gave at the central tabulator, anyone who has access to thumb drive media or the computer that is tabulating the election, but also anyone who can compromise the software of the network can get access. Anyone who can gain access to that computer. So internal, someone who has access physically, but external, anyone who has access to compromise the network and can actually see that machine virtually.
So that ties back into the articles that we were talking about from Kim Zeter, for example, where there's modems in the voting machines. That modem would allow you to get access to run a program like this and change the votes.
Correct.
So I think, and there's a lot of people, any number of voters could just bring a thumb drive with them to the polls. I mean, those USB ports, I've seen where when I looked at the Dominion voting machine at DEF CON, and the USB port and the Ethernet port were both right there where the voters could get access to them very, very quickly. So those ports sometimes are also unprotected. So we have one more thing to get to. So Benny, I'm going to say thank you so much for coming on and for that demonstration, which I think is pretty much mind-blowing every time we see it. But I think we're all starting to kind of understand more and more how what a huge threat that is, what an easy way it is to have the election compromised.
Yeah. If you could put my Twitter handle up, it looks like there are a few more questions that are coming in. If you guys just DM to me, I'll answer them there.
So that's Benny's title. He's the Shelby County Election Commissioner, and that's his Twitter handle, Benny J Smith.
Yeah, send your questions there and I'll answer them.
Okay, so we'll have Benny back. I think we'll definitely have Benny back, and I'm going to see if he's going to keep co-hosting with us. Thank you so much for being here today, Benny. Yeah. I love having you here. Okay, so we're getting one more person in right before the deadline. So this is Muriel McCarthy, and she's with Protect Our Votes Philly, and they have a really great letter out that they want to give everybody a chance. If you have an organization like an election security or election reform organization, I might want to sign on. Can you tell us quickly about it, Muriel? Thanks for being here.
Yes, so it was brought to our attention by Audit Elections USA that these machines that scan mail-in ballots and also in-person ballots take digital pictures of the ballots, and from those images the vote count is derived. And we are working on a campaign in Pennsylvania to ask the Department of State to direct all our counties to save ballot images. So Audit Elections has had some success in Florida, which is great. They're working in Michigan and North Carolina to do the same thing. And this is one tool. You were talking about audits earlier, and it's not a very sexy subject, but audits are really,
It is. Audits are very, very sexy. They're like, oh, sexy audits.
Right. So this is another tool that we can use to audit elections. So it's just as important for the losing candidate to know they lost and the winning candidate to know that they won. And it's good for the public to know that these records are out there. And they're important records because they're actually an election record. So according to federal law, all election records must be kept for 22 months. And then it varies on the state level. So in our state, I think it's 11 months. So it depends on the state, but we are arguing that we want our Department of State, Secretary of State, to direct all the counties to save all the ballots starting in November, because we cannot risk an issue with the results being doubted. So we hope that anybody who would like to sign our letter, it's going out tomorrow, would contact me at my name. It's Murielle, M-U-R-I-E-L-L-E, at povphilly.org if you'd like to sign. And we'd appreciate that. And what's so great about this is that we have so many signers from across the country, and it shows us that we all are kind of dealing with the same kind of issues. And it's so great when we can all come together and inform each other, educate each other, and share our knowledge with each other. So thank you so much for having this program and this series. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. And so I just want to kind of encapsulate that for people. The gist of it is that we're trying to get election officials to save these digital ballot images. The digital ballot image is a photograph of the ballot. And when the scanner scans the ballot, takes a picture. That picture, it's called a digital ballot image. And legally, the election officials are required to save those because they are election records. And the federal law actually mandates they be saved for 22 months. But some election officials are destroying them. We want them preserved because if we need to, that's a way for citizens to request those digital ballot images and count them as a check on the actual count. So this is actually happening. Their letter is about Philadelphia. We're actually trying to get election officials all over the country not only to preserve these, but also, I'm gonna mute you, Muriel. I think we got feedback there. Not only to preserve these, but also to allow the public access to them. Here in New York, they're preserving them, but no one ever gets to see them because the court ruled that they're not public records. So there's some other really great letters going on. There's a letter going out to LA about the LA system, and there's another democracy group that has a letter. So I'm gonna send out an email, and please get on our email list. You do that by going to our website. And Muriel, thank you so much for being here and for all the work that you're doing. And thanks everybody for being here. Sign up for next week. Get your friends to sign up for next week. Go to our website, smartelections.us, and sign up for next week's, not next week, I'm sorry, 2 weeks from now, September 22nd, 7 p.m. We're going to talk about audits. Sign up, get your friends to sign up, get your family to sign up, send it out to your lists. And then also there is a state working group on Thursday, and we will have that info. If you signed up for this, for tonight, you already got the info about Thursday, and otherwise we'll get it on our website right away. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great night. Bye.